Hello, and welcome to our show. We're so glad you joined us today. We have a very, very interesting show for you. I'm Darlene Pigford.
And I'm Greg Bauer. And this is our version of Paducah's Animal Planet.
Okay.
And I want to tell our viewers about a couple of upcoming shows, Santa's Gift Bag, and also one on Lost and Found, which we've been wanting to do for some time, and we'll be doing for long. And you may wonder, our little friends both requested a day off today, so Wicked and Angie are at home, but we have a treat for you.
Show.
Yes. And Darlene, what do we have on tap today? You said it's special. What's happening?
Oh, we have a very good story, a very inspirational story about a very, very special dog and her parents. Would you do the introductions,
I'll be
Greg?
happy to. Well, to Darlene's immediate right is the dog that we're talking about, Splash, and to Splash's right is Phil Cox, and there to Phil's right is Crystal Cox. So they're the owners of Splash, and Phil and Crystal, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come tell us about Splash's special story.
Well, thank you for having us.
Oh, yes, thank you. Well, listen, tell us about your fur family. You have Splash, and what other furry creatures do you have at home?
Well, Splash is our only planned. We call her our child.
Okay.
And we took in another dog that's she's now about 6 years old. But we've had her for about 5 years, and she's a border collie mix. We think maybe golden retriever border collie, and she had just been abandoned and was a stray just running around. She was nearly starving to death, had a broken leg, and was weighed 39 pounds. And so we brought her home, took her in. She was heartworm positive, had to treat her for that, and she's covered with ticks and everything, got her cleaned up, and she has been a wonderful addition to our family. And then more recently, the ice storm, somebody dumped 2 boys that were white dogs. We think maybe they're a Samoyed Great Pyrenees mix. We're not sure. They got a double dew claw, and they have just adapted really well, and we've just got a wonderful family with the 4 of them.
All right, so you have 4 dogs at home.
Yes.
Okay. Tell us, what was the decision to find a dog like Splash? What's his background? Her background. Phil?
Well, initially, our first dog that we got had health problems from the start, and it was a golden retriever. We wanted a golden retriever. We didn't live here then, but we just looked in the local newspaper, saw golden retriever, went and looked at them. They all looked the same. We picked one out and took it home. And by the age of 5, she was having some serious health problems. She was a lot bigger than the breed should be. It put undue stress on her hips. She suffered from hip dysplasia, and we spent a fortune on her from the age of 5 till she died when she was almost 11. But we spent a lot of money to keep her going. And during that process, I started learning about dogs. As we grew up, we started learning about dogs, and I realized that we could probably front load our expenses and get a little better quality dog, and hopefully not have the huge medical expenses as you went down the road. Now that didn't really work out. I think as I learned more, I think the mixed breeds are a very sturdy, stout breed. The strays that we've taken in seem to be in excellent health.
Okay. What is her from a breeder's perspective? What is Splash's background?
She comes from Honors Kennel in North Carolina, and they breed championship dogs there. And so both of her mother is named Piper, and her father's Joe Snow, I believe. And they're both championships, and both of them come from, I forget how long is the line?
They went back like 10 generations on the pedigree she sent to us to see if it was acceptable. Every single dog had the CH or championship designation in front of their name.
So I'm looking at royalty here.
Yes.
She is a distant relative of Liberty. It was on her pedigree. That's her aunt, one of her great aunts. Liberty was President Ford's dog when he was in the White House.
Oh my goodness, how special this dog. And as I understand, you had her flown in, and you had to pick her up at Nashville at the airport.
Yes.
All right. And as I understand it now, you wanted a therapy dog.
Yes. I'm an occupational therapist.
Okay.
And I've been working with, at the time I was working with children more than adults. And I've just always thought that dogs just bring a whole another level of input
And comfort.
and comfort and they're just a great tool to use for therapy. And then more recently, she's been going to the hospital and working with the adults. And she is just such a motivator for so many people. They love to do, to pet her. She just brings out that sensory, she's so soft and she licks you and gives you kisses and just so warm and friendly. And it doesn't matter. You could walk in and you'd be petting her and somebody else walk in and she immediately shifts her focus to that person so that nobody feels left out, We have to sometimes rein her in that maybe somebody doesn't love her. Hard to believe, but
Our animals are just so sensitive to people that are not doing well and not feeling well, and so I think they're a natural as
Give me a
as
kiss.
we talk about
Okay.
their role as therapy animals, and we're going to come back to that in just a little bit. We want to take a short break now and listen to a happy tale. This is about Farah, a 2-year-old gray and white cat who needs a home. So give a listen.
Hi, my name is Farah, and I'm a female gray and white short-haired cat. I'm about 2 years old. Right now I live in a foster home at Creatures Great and Small. I was brought to the shelter by a friend who found me as a stray. One day I slipped out of the house and crawled under the hood of a car to keep warm. They found me when the car was started and had to turn the engine off to get me out. That was really scary. I just love dogs and would rather be with them than other cats. I would really like to find a forever happy home, preferably with some dog companions. If you can help me, please call Judy at 270-554-2616. I promise that you won't be sorry.
Welcome back. We hope you enjoyed that tale about Farah, and you can give Farah a home.
That's
If
right.
you just give Judy Hardy a call at 554-2616. So hopefully she'll get a call before long about Farah and many of the other animals that they have there at Creatures Great and Small that need a home. Well, this afternoon we're talking with Phil and Crystal Cox and Splash over here, a very special dog. And we were just beginning to talk about the role of Splash as a therapy dog. Talk a little bit more about that, would you please, Phil? Why do we have a therapy dog? What's their purpose?
Well, you'll get a different perspective
Okay.
from me than her because
Okay.
I'm not in the medical field.
I'm not either.
But occasionally, especially since she's been wheelchair bound, I have had the time to take her and take rounds with her, take her around to the patients, and you roll up to the door and you say, "Hi, I've got Splash the therapy dog here. You want to talk to her a minute?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, come on in." And they say, I used to have a dog, but I was just not able to do it anymore. And it just picks up their day. It makes them happy. They want to pet it.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes Splash, when she's in a wheelchair, it's about level with the bed, and she'll just walk right over on the bed and lay down beside them, and it just tickles them to death. And the younger people, especially, it just makes their day. And I've seen her interact down in the therapy room, when I come back and they're in there doing therapy and stuff, and Splash kind of motivates them and gets over there and pets them in between, and it kind of takes their mind off of the drudgery of being in the hospital.
Yeah.
And Crystal, from the standpoint now, you as an occupational therapist,
yes.
what kinds of things can Splash do that are of benefit to the patients?
Well, I don't even know what an occupational therapist is, so let's backtrack and tell.
Okay.
Explain to me what medical field you are a specialist in.
As an occupational therapist. I work with patients who've had stroke
Oh, okay.
or medical problems. We get, I work at Lourdes, and we get car accidents and so forth, and help rehab them back to so they can do their activities of daily living. As an occupational therapist, we deal a lot with their dressing, bathing, toileting, grooming, the basic daily living things, eating if that's a problem, and also their leisure skills and even work skills should they, want to get back past the basics and onto home management, and then onto back if they, doing their leisure activities or their other activities that made them who they are.
Well, how does Splash help with your work?
Well, Splash is a very good motivator. So, the research shows that dogs help lower blood pressure and decrease anxiety. So just being in a room, you don't even have to pet her, is very therapeutic. And then as far as interacting with her, she provides good range of motion for a patient who has trouble moving their arms or stuff. If she gets that, she can help, with the petting, by petting her. And then also with the sensory, help with sensation. She's so soft and
Oh, she
cuddly, and
is.
she'll lick you and kiss you. And then, and then also for speech therapy, she's also come in handy there, because for communication, a lot of times the speech therapists are trying to work with them and have them say things over and over again, and it gets very frustrating for the patient. But when they want Splash to sit or lay down or wait for this treat or something, they're perfectly able to try multiple times to say it so she'll understand what they want, and the reward is Splash does it. So, so that really is a good motivator, and she's just so lovable, and also reminds them, a lot of times the patients tell us about, provides them reminisce of how they've had their own pets and how they miss them or wish they were back home with them. And she's just a wonderful dog, and she's just a lot of time facilitates them moving on to the next level. They may be having a bad day or be hurting, but then when they see her and everything that she's gone through, it's a very good motivator for them to go ahead, and they get to talking or petting her, and they don't even realize they're doing therapy.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, go ahead, honey.
Well,
Oops, excuse me.
what I was going to say now, we know that Splash is in a wheelchair.
Yes.
Yes.
And we'd like to have you talk a little bit about what kind of medical problems has she had, and what are some of the things that she's gone through
Yes.
that make her that special dog that we know she is.
Go ahead.
Well, 2010's been a bad year for Splash.
Okay.
In March, she tore a cruciate ligament in her knee.
Okay.
And they have a wonderful surgery. You've heard the term crooked as a dog's hind leg all your life, and they actually have a surgery now that they straighten some of that crook out of the leg.
Okay.
And it actually changes the geometry of the leg and eases the pressure on the ligaments. And the surgery, they do it in St. Louis. And we had her scheduled. Danny Everett had got it, so we got it scheduled. We went up there to have the surgery, and they put her out. I dropped her off and actually came back home, and she they put her out. And the doctor called me and said, while under anesthesia, before we started on the surgery, we noticed that she had a growth under her tongue, and I don't like the looks of it. And I'm going to do a biopsy, and we're gonna focus on that right now, with your permission. I said, okay. So they found this large mass under her tongue, which you just couldn't see. I mean,
couldn't
we
see
pet
unless
the dog and all. We know every little bump she's got, and just didn't know it. And so they found it, and they just did surgery to remove it, but because of where it was at, they could not get it all.
Okay.
And because of that, she needed to have chemotherapy.
So it was cancerous?
It was cancerous, and so she had to have chemotherapy. And I'm thinking, I don't want to put a dog through that. I've seen people go through it. It's really rough. And I talked to Danny Everett, and he says that, it's not that big a deal. He says the dog won't suffer, and she won't be in any pain. She'll probably gain a little weight with the medicine we give her. The protocol is quite excellent. And so she
You're
went
talking about
through
the
the
chemotherapy.
And we had to address that before we could go back to the leg.
I see,
And
okay.
so this spring and summer she had chemotherapy, and she had eight rounds of chemotherapy.
Yeah,
And
over 3 months she had 8 rounds
Wow.
of chemotherapy.
And she did great with it, and she actually did gain a pound or two, and just like the doctor said, and so she just now got well enough, recovered enough from that last Friday she had the surgery on her leg to repair the ligaments in her knee, and so she's this is the first time she's been out since then, so she's really excited to be around some other people.
Well, we want to hear a little bit more about
Yes.
this wonderful story, but we want to take another short break. And this time, we have a feature that we've started on our show called For the Animals. And it's a tribute to different people who work with our animals in our local area and just do a wonderful number of things for
And
them.
have made a contribution
Yes.
to their animal welfare in some way.
Absolutely. And this tribute is to Judy Hardy, who's the director of Creatures Great and Small, and it's wonderful, so give a listen.
Judy Hardy started Creatures Great and Small with a friend in the fall of 2004. In the beginning, they rescued cats around Paducah. They had no outside funds, but gladly took in the cats and provided vet care for them. Because of a newspaper article and a story on the local TV news, the rescue effort has grown, and donations now aid in saving many dogs and cats. Judy has loved animals all her life and has tried to save as many as she can. Without the help of Judy's daughter, Susanna, and the many foster homes that give of their time and money, Creatures Great and Small would never have been able to save the thousands that have come through their doors. For the animals, we salute you and thank you, Judy, for your work and efforts.
Welcome back. We hope that you enjoyed that little message about Judy Hardy. And since this is a new feature of the show, if you would like to nominate someone that you know who has done special work with animals, you can either give me a call at 443-8330 here in Paducah, or you can email me at greg_bauer@comcast.net. And we know that there's a lot of people out there. We know some of them, but we sure don't know them all. So we need your help in nominating people for this feature. It won't be every month, but we're mixing it in with the Happy Tales and the Forget-Me-Not segment. So we hope you enjoyed that thing. And Judy, thank you so much for what you do.
Judy is one of the few sources of help in McCracken County if there's a stray animal. So we really want to thank her for her years of service and the many, many animals that she has taken care of in a fostering network. And Judy, again, thank you so much. And this is our tribute for the contribution that you and your fellow volunteers have made to this community. Right, Greg?
Absolutely. Well, we want to get back to our two guests, or three guests today, I
That's
should
right.
say. Phil and Crystal Cox from Calvert City, and with Splash, the Wonder Dog. And we're sharing some wonderful stories about Splash and the things that she has done. And we were talking about medical information. Oh, by the way, if our viewers would like to get a hold of Crystal, you and Phil, how can they do that? If they have questions maybe about what Splash does, about therapy dogs,
Therapy or about
yeah,
decisions on medical.
Right. Yeah. How can people get a hold of you? What would be a good telephone number for them to call you?
270-205-8700.
Okay. And if they wanted to email to you to share a story or
Get your
something like
advice.
that, how can they get in contact with you?
PCX17@yahoo.com.
Okay. Well, and thank you so much for your willingness to share that
That's
contact
right.
information with them. And, well, just before the break, we were talking about some of the medical problems that Splash has had, and we heard about the cancer that we were able to take care of, and the fact that she had a problem with the knee, even though she didn't play football, as we understand. But you've got something very special that Splash is sitting in. Tell us about that wheelchair.
How did she not do therapy, or has she done therapy with her cancer?
She did, about 2 weeks into the chemotherapy, we decided that she was doing pretty good. She'd missed about 2 weeks of work, and so we decided that we would try and take her half a day. And we have a crate, and I took that, but we were trying to decide how to get her in and out of the hospital because I work up on the 8th floor. And, you know, so it's not only from the parking lot, but also up there too.
Right.
So we utilized the wheelchair. Well, it just works so good, and she just loves it. She just sits up, she just lays down, she just is perfectly happy, and she's just the right height, like Phil said, to be petted or to get right up next to him. And then, so we'd take her up to the 8th floor, take her around to see the patients, and then she kind of just stayed about half a day as she was recuperating and still getting the chemo. And we have a mat table, and it's a little bit bigger than this table.
Okay.
And so she would be able to get on it, and if she wouldn't stay on it, then she'd have to get in her crate. And it only took her a couple times of getting down and being shut up in the crate before she realized that I'm going to stay up here on this mat so I don't have to get in the crate. But the crate that we have is just a pop-up crate, and it has a place to unzip the top, so you could still reach over and pet her inside the crate, and she was still accessible for the patients and everything. But it worked out better with her on the mat, and so she did really well.
So as she was going through all this illness, you put her in a wheelchair, and she still did her work as a therapy dog.
Yes, she did. And then she just kept working as she got a little bit stronger and was doing fine with the chemo. Then we worked her back up, and by the end of the chemo, she was going all day again.
And how's her prognosis at this point for all these problems?
It's very good. She's in remission for the cancer. There's no sign of any other cancer.
Okay.
And she's just had her leg surgery, like my husband said, on Friday. And and she's healing well with that. She's tentative to put weight on that foot, but she can still get around. She's been babying that foot now since March, so you know, so she's used to not putting weight on it. So she's actually taking care of that leg very well.
Well, now, dogs usually like to be walked and exercised. How did she, from March on, how did she manage wanting to get out or run or walk with the problem of her leg?
She's been very limited because she just gets to go out and she'll just have to run a little bit in the yard, but she just sprint a little bit with doing more of a three-legged run or using both those legs together. And then she'd just stop and sit, and she'd just watch what was going on in the neighborhood out there and then do her business and come back in. So, and she just had to play with her sisters and brothers a little bit with just laying there, tug of war, or sitting there, and not so active.
But did you have to make any special adaptations to the wheelchair, or could you kind of take it as it was, or?
Just take it as it was.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Can you just imagine here on a therapy ward, here comes a dog who's undergone cancer and has a bad leg sitting in a wheelchair, but smiling at
Yes.
you. I mean,
It takes 20 minutes for her to get from where I let him out at the door to get to the 8th floor. Or back, sometimes in the evening, I mean, it's just like, okay, we need to get home, you know. Sometimes it takes up to 40 minutes to get out of the hospital because everybody stops. They want to take a picture, they want to talk to her, they want to pet her. So she draws quite a crowd in the wheelchair.
And I'm sure she just eats that up.
Oh, she does.
Yeah, and they want to know her story, and then they'll tell us usually about what's going on with their dog. And we've met a few people and really think that, you know, inspiration to know what to do with their dog.
Well, it sounds like she's providing a lot of, quote, things beside just therapy directly with the patients, but providing inspiration for other people that she meets in the hospital. And
That's true.
And when people are in the hospital, they often
you need all the help you can get.
all the
That's
inspiration
right.
and help that you can get, and it looks like Splash is just doing a wonderful job. We've just been amazed at the short time that we've met her today, how friendly she is, and
How you gravitate towards her.
exactly.
You do.
Yeah, I see your notebook there. Would you like to explain what you have there?
Oh, I just have this is her scrapbook, a kind of,
Open it up and show me.
and this is a picture from when she was at Lourdes. They did a story on her, and this is in the Lourdes life stories that she had a picture there. And then I have a scrapbook that has her different pictures from the beginning. This is her with her mom and the babies.
This is her baby album.
Yes, this is her baby book. And And
So you've saved all
So
your
I've saved all
pictures?
her pictures, and she's just so popular.
The lady emailed us and updated us daily from the day she was born.
Oh, I think we also have another picture, a birthday party picture that we
Yes.
might be able to show our viewers. Well, tell us about that 8th birthday party picture.
Since Splash has been going to the hospital for over 2 years, and when her birthday came around in February, the first year, we decided that it was appropriate, since we celebrate everybody else's birthday, to celebrate hers. And we had the patients in occupational therapy. Like I said, we deal with your daily living skills.
Right.
So part of the treatment for some of the patients was to make some dog biscuits from scratch.
Okay.
You know, whip them up, and so they made some dog biscuits. They also made people treats for the party. And so they had a birthday party, and we had a dog theme, and she just did real good. And her brother came up for the party, and to say hi to, and she just was real. She put the hat on for a little bit, and I think that's the picture you have there with her with the hat on, and but she just loves the attention.
Yeah. Just a side question. Has she ever been to the Blessing of the Animals?
No, she hasn't.
Well, we're going to give you a special invitation next October. I know it's supposed to in the fall to bring her to the Blessing of the Animals, because she definitely is a blessing. So
Yes, she is. We're so proud of her and so blessed to be part of her life.
yeah. How did you cope emotionally and otherwise with her unexpected medical problems for a pet that's obviously a member of your household?
Well, it's just like anything else. You just, you know, you take one day at a time, and we were praying for her, and we just knew that she had such a strong personality, and she had such an outpouring of support from the hospital too, when it was explained that, you know, why she wasn't coming around for, you know, why she wasn't there every day, and people wanted to help, and they even did some donations for her at the hospital, and it's just been a wonderful experience in the sense that of how much she's loved and how many people know who she is. You know,
that's
more
true.
people know her than know me.
She's like a famous painter.
She is.
when you die, you become famous if you're an artist. And she gets sick, and she becomes more popular.
Well, unfortunately, we're beginning to run just a little short on time, so let me just ask this question. What most would you like to share with our viewers? What advice do you have for them on helping them cope with maybe some problems that they may have with their pets, and maybe some things that pets can do for them? What would you like them to remember from our show today?
Well, I guess first of all, of all the things Splash does, the number one thing she does, she's our pet. Mm-hmm. You know, she's our friend, and she's with us, you know, every day. And you know, if you get a pet, you know, plan on spending time with them. There's no point in having them if you don't take advantage of that point. So that's all I can say is enjoy your pets while you've got them. They have a very short life.
Mm-hmm.
And spend time with them.
To us as human beings, that's for sure. And so, well, I'll tell you, this has just been a wonderful,
Splash.
inspirational
You gonna
show
give me a
today.
kiss?
And Splash,
Good.
thank you so much for coming today, sweetie.
She
You do an awful lot of people an awful lot of good, and Phil and Crystal, we'd like to thank you two so much for coming today
yes.
and sharing Splash's story with us and bringing her with us, so that we could
you're
actually
welcome.
see what she's doing, and so it's just been, I think people will get a real inspiration from listening to the three of you today, if you will. So, unfortunately, we've got to kind of
time
run
passes.
along now. So, in closing,
I'm Darlene.
I'm Greg, and we want to remind our viewers and just echo what Phil had to say a moment ago. Give your pet a little extra love today
And every day.
You never know how long they'll be with you.
That's right.
See you next time.
Bye.